John Henry, the Changeover Wizard at Changeover.com with this month's changeover tip from Frayne Industries. I'm a big believer in checklists. I think they should always be used with every changeover. There is no other way to make sure that everyone does the changeover in the most effective way. There's not even any other way to assure that the same person does the same changeover in the same way every time. One of the objections I hear to checklists is time. A checklist will slow me down. I just don't have time to use one. Besides, I know what I'm doing. Well, tell that to Jeffrey Skiles. He was co-pilot on US Air 1549. As Captain Sullenberger was guiding the plane into the Hudson, Skiles was using a paper checklist to go through the emergency restart procedure. He had less than about 90 seconds. He didn't have enough time not to use the checklist. I occasionally watch old military training films on YouTube. Just want to be ready in case I might have to fly a P-47 Thunderbolt or a B-25, or even launch a torpedo bomber off a carrier deck. I was watching one on carrier takeoffs in World War II. Now this is a real emergency. There are enemy planes inbound and they needed to get all the ship's planes in the air. No time for a checklist, right? Wrong. This clip shows how they used a checklist just before takeoff. When it's really mission critical, they don't just use a one-person checklist. That might let the pilot glance down at the sheet and say, yeah, done all that, without paying full attention. They didn't have time not to use a checklist. If Skiles or the carrier pilot had not had time to use the checklist, they'd be taking a chance on getting something wrong. If time weren't critical, perhaps they would have had time to make a mistake and correct with only loss of time. But they didn't have that luxury, so they lived by the checklist. More importantly, they didn't die by the checklist. What about you? Do you have the luxury of time on changeovers? Do you have the luxury of being able to make mistakes? I doubt it. Even small amounts of additional changeover time will result in big production losses. Remember 10W40? 10 minutes of daily lost time is more than a week of lost production a year. Can your company afford to lose a week? An excellent book on this subject is The Checklist Manifesto by Dr. Atul Gawande. Everyone should read it. He also has a number of videos on YouTube that are interesting and useful on how and why to use checklists. Take it from the pros. Develop checklists and use them every single time. Use a checklist when it comes to buying machinery too. Fortunately, it's a short one. Call Frayne. From initial concept to design, engineering, and commissioning, they're your one-stop source. Rent for the short term, buy or lease for the long term. Frayne makes it work for you however you want it. Visit them online at www.fraynegroup.com. Even better, visit their plant in Carroll Stream, Illinois. It's minutes from Chicago's O'Hare Airport. See their inventory, tour the shop, talk to their engineers and technicians. You'll know you're in good hands. I'm John Henry from Changeover.com. I'll see you next month with another changeover tip from Frayne Industries. Thanks for watching.